We all know the case of the McCloskeys in St. Louis. It turned into a major national news story. Husband and wife, the McCloskeys, outside of their property in St. Louis with lawfully owned firearms, telling the mob or just showing the mob that they were willing to defend themselves even after threats against their lives and their property. Well, now we have the prosecutor in St. Louis bringing a felony charge, which clearly is sending a message to other people who might defend their property all across the country, defend themselves. But she's not the only one who gets a say in this. We're very pleased to be joined now by the Missouri Attorney General from the state of Missouri, Attorney General Eric Schmitt. Mr. Schmitt, thank you so much. We appreciate you calling in.
Great to be with you.
So can you just tell us, where does the case stand right now? Charges have been brought. Walk us through what the charges really are, what the allegation is, and what the McCloskeys face.
Sure. So earlier this week, local prosecutor Kim Gardner, who has jurisdiction over state charges, essentially in that jurisdiction, the city of St. Louis, filed criminal charges against both the McCloskeys. And essentially the charges are an unlawful use of a weapon, which means they're brandishing a deadly weapon in a threatening manner. The problem Kim Gardner has with those charges is that the case should have never been brought because of Missouri's Castle Doctrine. And just to kind of take a step back and you look at Missouri law, first of all, the fundamental right of self-defense is well established. It really predates our Constitution. It's a natural right. The founders knew that, which is why the Second Amendment is in the Bill of Rights. In Missouri, in our first Constitution, 1820, that was incorporated in, and every other Constitution we've had, and as recently as 2014, Missouri voters overwhelmingly expanded those Second Amendment rights. And the creature of statute at issue here is the Castle Doctrine. And Missouri has perhaps the most expansive Castle Doctrine in the country. It means that, if you're being threatened, as the McCloskeys, say they were here, you have a right to not only defend your life and anyone else's life, your family members' lives, but also not just your home, your castle, but your property. And so, given those facts, the statutes are very clear that it's not even an affirmative defense to the unlawful use of a weapon charge. It means it's not a crime at all if you're fall under the Castle Doctrine, which is clear here. So, look, this is nothing more than a political prosecution. And in a time where you have, calls to defund the police and rising violent crime rates across the country, including in St. Louis, which recorded has well over 130 murders already this year, a 75% increase this July versus last July. This local prosecutor has released inmates charged with violent crimes using COVID as an excuse for people who were, charged with violent crimes to target law-abiding citizens for exercising their fundamental right of self-defense is outrageous, which is why I felt like I needed to stand up, do something. We've entered the case and asked for the court to dismiss the charges.
Right. Let's jump into that part of this now. We're speaking to the Attorney General for the state of Missouri, Eric Schmitt, and about this McCloskey case where the local attorney for St. Louis has brought a charge here, a felony charge of unlawful brandishing of weapons. Okay, you are weighing in on this as the Attorney General for the state. What is your position? What are the mechanisms at your disposal, and what's happening right now?
Sure. So the McCloskeys have their own counsel, and they'll be defending the McCloskeys. But I'm coming in as the Attorney General on behalf of all Missourians because I'm constitutionally charged with not only protecting the Constitution, but when there's an issue that affects all Missourians, like this would, I have a right to come into a case. And what we're alleging here is that if you have a situation where law-abiding citizens are exercising a fundamental right, the right to self-defense, and they're being criminally prosecuted for that. If you think about that, the government wants to come in and put you in jail for 4 years, up to 4 years, if you're exercising that right. That could have a chilling effect on these constitutionally protected right of self-defense that all Missourians enjoy. So the specter of this case, in its pendency at any point in time, sends a very clear message to law-abiding citizens that you exercise that right of self-defense at your own peril. And if this prosecutor wants to come in and put you in jail, that's what she's going to do. And so, that's why we're coming in to assert that you can't move forward with a prosecution like this that has no basis in law. It's a political prosecution. It could have a chilling effect on others exercising their constitutional rights as well.
Now, why do you think that the prosecutor Gardner And we would call it a district attorney here. She's the state's attorney for St. Louis, right? So why would she offer in that initial statement, why bring a felony charge, but even say in the statement, we're open to deferred prosecution for this as well? Is this a prosecutor's gambit to essentially just get an admission of wrongdoing, show what side she's on, and then not actually bring this to trial? Why do that? I mean, that seems a little bit that seemed to be quite a noteworthy addition to her initial statement.
It's a telling comment, isn't it? It sort of indicates that maybe she doesn't believe this is even a crime in the first place, which it's not. I mean, the statutes in Missouri are very clear that the unlawful use of a weapon charge isn't a crime if you're, fall under the Castle Doctrine, if you're defending yourself, as the McCloskeys were in this case. So it has no basis. It's, purely a political prosecution. She has a primary in 2 weeks for her seat, which also enters sort of the equation here. And while literally, dozens and dozens and dozens of homicides go uncharged in St. Louis, this case got to the top of the stack. It reeks of politics. And look, the reality is people who run for office make statements all the time. The difference here is this is a prosecutor that's bringing criminal charges against law-abiding citizens, potentially putting them in jail. She said what she said, but it comes with a 4-year prison sentence potentially. That's a very, very dangerous road to go down.
Hey, Team Buck, thank you so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you like this video, please click that little thumbs up button so then it will log as liked. And also, if you want to see more great content from The First, please click subscribe.